Well, pardon me. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Friday, March the 7th, 2025, which makes this the news for Thursday, March the 6th, day 1107 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. How do you do? I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5 from Kyiv, coming to you live from this major European capital that is currently under siege. How's everybody doing? Hey, Paul Smith. Hey, Darlene. Hey, G2. Hey, Nicola. Hey, Integral. Everybody there's Integral. He's the sponsor of tonight's live. Everybody thank Integral, please. It's his first time sponsoring a live, and starting tomorrow, we have no more live sponsors. So if anybody wants to sponsor live, the PayPal information is in the description. That would be great. Hey, Steve-O. How you doing, pal? Hey, Bobby. French Mirage jets have been delivered. We don't know how many. They promised a dozen. Probably at least 6 have been delivered. Maybe all 12 are here. And the first video of them flying in the skies over Ukraine was just released, Mel. We just saw them for the first time in Ukrainian skies. How they're, Lars, I think you're right. I believe it was the Mirage 5. But regardless, we don't know yet what they're being used for or how they're being used. We know that the F-16s have been used almost exclusively for air defense, right, to shoot down incoming missiles and drones. However, we are seeing that change. We're getting increasing reports of F-16s being used on the front line to support ground troops. That's a new capability for the Ukrainians. Do you think Trump is buying Putin so he can freely attack Iran? No, Steve-O, I do not. I think that Putin bought Trump long ago, and his re-election was the greatest win that Vladimir Putin has ever seen. The Kremlin is absolutely giddy. They are popping corks in Moscow and Petersburg, make no mistake. Turkey cannot stop Putin, no. Turkey can help in a united Europe. Lars is mentioning down there, the Norwegians have just come up with a $4.5 billion aid package to Ukraine. It's a big deal for a small country, and it brings their total commitment to Ukraine for the year 2025 to a little over $8 billion. Yeah, everybody forgets that Putin, well, not Putin, but the Kremlin, bought Trump a long time ago. 1988, Trump had a short abortive run for president. Remember? He spent his own money, $1.2 million, to take out a full-page ad in the New York Times that said the U.S. should get out of NATO. I mean, he's been singing the Kremlin song for 40 years. Trump did not just emerge out of a vacuum. Trump is an experiment of the Kremlin in social engineering that has lasted 40 fucking years. And they have won. They make no mistake. At this point, they are winning. The U.S. federal government is in the hands of Kremlin useful idiots. And they are doing everything they can to destroy the country I love. And they are doing it to the cheers of the maggot idiots. The useful idiots of the Kremlin. Well, there's a nightmare that nobody should ever want to see come true. Yet another grapist in the White House. So, at any rate, last night, the Russians sent 112 drones at the territory of Ukraine. That's almost half of what they've been sending, right? The average has been about 190 a night for the last 10 days or so. But last night we saw only 112 come in. Of the 112, 111 were taken out, shot down, or taken out with active countermeasures. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, in the current atmosphere, I think you need to start learning Russian. Yeah, Russian is a dead language. Nobody's interested in learning Russian. All the countries that were formerly Russian possessions, where Russian has been a second language for so long, they are all rejecting it. Nobody wants to hear the filthy dog barking of Russian. Nobody wants to hear it. Now, today we saw Putin get exactly what he wants. Through his spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, last week, or 2 weeks ago now, Putin said, we want America to stop propping up the regime in Kyiv with humanitarian assistance that keeps the government going. We want America to stop arms deliveries to Ukraine, which keeps the war going. And we want the U.S. to stop sharing intelligence information with Ukraine so that they cannot keep fighting back. Because how dare they fight back when we're trying to murder them all? Well, the Kremlin got its wish today. Trump, in his typical authoritarian-loving, ass-kissing, boot-licking appeasement of Moscow. Trump is Krasnov, Russell, yes. President Krasnov stopped intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Now, fortunately, the Europeans are not quite the sissies that Putin and Trump think they are. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu today assured Ukraine that they would continue to receive intelligence from the French. The French are in a great space, right? The French are in a great space because their shit is all independent. They don't have to ask us for anything. Their nukes are controlled by them. Their intelligence and satellites are controlled by them. They don't have to ask us for anything. So the French can continue to do what they want in Ukraine. And it looks as though they're going to do that. Now, today, we saw an emergency meeting in Brussels of your EU leaders. It was a special emergency session of the EU Commission. Antonio Carlos was there, the president of the EU, and Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the EU Commission, were both there and met with Zelensky. We don't yet know what came out of that. What's a lie, Mr. Bond? Please tell me. What is a lie, Mr. Bond? What is a lie, Mr. Bond? You come into my house, you call me a liar. Tell me, what is the lie? I love your hero, Ben Hodges. He is the best. Ben Hodges is the best. And Ben Hodges, everything I am saying, well, there you go. So Mr. Bond is enthralled to the Kremlin, is a creature of the Kremlin. Thank you, Ethan. Oh, Leon can't wait for Ukraine to collapse. Why, Leon? What did Ukraine ever do to you that you would want to see an emergent democracy fail? I'll tell you what, nothing. They are trolls, right? Tired Rabbit, they are trolls. And here we do not feed the trolls. Exactly, Scotty. Ethan, nice, nice. It's hard to tell, isn't it, anymore, whether you're talking to an algorithmic function or a paid propagandist. Now, look, like Ben Hodges, like Ethan Lucas, like Sir General Richard Sharif, I am of the opinion that Ukraine and Europe does not need the United States to win. That the United States has clearly shown its colors, that the U.S. federal system is currently subverted by malign foreign powers in the person of Donald Trump and his coterie of goblins and goons, hell-bent on the destruction of the American system, the greatest system for generating wealth that the world has ever known, the greatest system for generating individual freedom and protecting individual freedom in the world. They are tearing it apart from the inside out. Make no mistake, that's what's going on. And it was a great pleasure to me, personally, to hear from great minds who understand these things much better than I, like General Ben Hodges, like General Sir Richard Sharif, when they said today that Ukraine doesn't need the United States, that if Europe presents a united front and stands behind Ukraine, they can defeat Russia. And that would be the greatest defeat that Russia has known, to be so close to having subverted the United States government and then falling apart because they'd overextended themselves in Ukraine. That is the future that I am most hopeful for. That is a very real possibility. But threading this needle is fraught with danger. In the words of Sir General Richard Sharif today, we are at the most dangerous time. This right now is the most dangerous time, not just for Ukraine, but for all of us. Because with Russia and America aligned, you're talking about 12,000 nuclear weapons pointed at the rest of the world. That's what you're really talking about. And these two bastards between them could have worked out any kind of deal to make it look like other people's fault and maybe let some of those nukes fly, knowing that the United States will not respond. That's why the French offer to extend its nuclear umbrella over the rest of Europe is perhaps the most meaningful geopolitical event this week. If France extends its nuclear umbrella, which it can do independently on its own sovereignty, Putin may think twice before pressing any buttons, even though he has assurances that DC will not respond, which I absolutely believe he does. I can't prove that. That's speculation on my part. I want to be clear about that. But all of the things that Trump does that make no sense, as soon as one accepts the premise that he is in the employ of the Kremlin, everything he does makes perfect sense. It is Occam's razor. Now, we did hear some very exciting news. I mean, people who have followed this channel for a long time, you may have been one of the people that sent letters to the White House and the Senate and Congress asking for a no-fly zone west of the Dnipro, which is not something that we have been able to get out of the coalition to date. Well, now that America seems to have fucked off, the Europeans are talking about a no-fly zone west of the Dnipro. 120 European jets patrolling the skies, protecting the west part of Ukraine from missiles and drones and other aerial threats. we might just get a no. Now, just that, taking that pressure off of the Ukrainian armed forces so that they don't need to have as many men in the back here. They can move them to the front, would be a huge advantage for Ukraine. In terms of daily life and the productivity of the economy, not having constant air raids, not the being free of the constant stress of aerial bombardment, the lost hours of productivity hiding in shelters and subways. Huge, huge benefit to the people of Ukraine. And I am hopeful that the Europeans are very serious about that. What we need is a new NATO, the North European Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO, without the US. That's what we need. I'm thinking NEATO, Riley, North European Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO. No, I do not trust anything that Donald Trump is doing, which is why I would urge Ukraine, if I could, if I had Zelensky's ear, I would say, don't trust the Americans with anything right now, because you're not dealing with Americans, you're dealing with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is about the most anti-American thing that there is. Canada could be part of NATO, sure, why not? Canada and Turkey. Okay. Boy, a lot of trolls tonight. A lot of people that don't understand anything about the world. Amazing. America first. You know, how anybody looks at historic photographs of the Ku Klux Klan marching with America First banners and then signs up to be part of that evil is beyond me. I don't get it. It's inherently un-American. Inherently. And then they claim to be Americans. It's outrageous. Now, there is also talk, there is more hope today, because the $300 billion in frozen Russian assets, they're talking about seizing those and giving them to Ukraine. That is the kind of thinking that we need to see them take action on before Donald Trump somehow pulls the rug out from under them and figures out a way to give that money back to Putin, which you can be sure he either wants to do, get it back to Putin, pay off all his debts with Putin, or he wants to get his hands on it for himself. Trump isn't screaming at Putin because Trump works for Putin. Trump is a Russian asset and always has been. Okay. Zelensky, for his part, and the Ukrainian Rada, the parliament here, are bending over backwards to appease the thin-skinned narcissist, an abusive, toxic cunt that attacked Zelensky in the White House unprovoked last week. Ukraine is bending over backwards because America has stopped arms deliveries, and they're worried about that, as well they should be. Ukraine is bending over backwards because the Russians, through Trump, are strong-arming Zelensky into surrender. It is nothing other than blackmail and extortion from my government, from the American government, it is obscene. When I think of all of our good allies who came to our defense in 9/11 when Article 5 was activated, none of them ever complained about the way that any American president was dressed. None of them ever came looking for to be reimbursed for everything they spent in 10 years of war in Iraq and 20 in Afghanistan. None of them did. And yet here we are berating Zelensky and the Ukrainians for daring to defy their betters in Moscow. He is literally attacking Canada for Putin. Yes, he is. You know, you watch YouTube, you can see videos of $1.5 billion worth of American booze being taken off the liquor store shelves of Canadian liquor stores. $1.5 billion worth. How is that going to affect Jack Daniels? How is that going to affect Bacardi? How is that? I mean, come on. He is destroying the North American economy. All so that he can squeeze favors out of those industries that can come to him, kiss the ring, line his pockets so that they get exemptions, like the car industry, like farmers, etc., right? I guess you like it to go back to the way it was with your buddy Biden. What, you mean where we respected our allies and knew who our enemies were? Yeah, I would. I would very much like that, to go back to that. Mr. Cochran points out that over 600 British soldiers made the ultimate sacrifice in our wars. And yet they have to listen to J.D. Vance say second-rate European countries that haven't fought a war in 30 years. It's unbelievable. And the way he lies, just one lie after another, one lie after another, one lie after another. And the fools sit there and cheer. Insanity. Hey, Solo. Hey, everybody, this is Solo. Solo's in the International Legion out in Kyiv. Peter, just on cars, did he ask how many cars Russia buys from USA? I can tell you 0. Yeah. Dude, it has nothing, right? The whole point is to wreck the American economy. And not just wreck the American economy, wreck the North American economy to create a vast permanent underclass so that he and his billionaire friends can feel superior to everyone. My condolences, Jax. There's no reason anybody should back down to Donald Trump, especially not the Ukrainians. They have nothing to be ashamed of. They have nothing to be embarrassed by. They have proven themselves over and over and over again in this thing, as they are the only ones bleeding and dying for democracy in the world. They don't have to feel bad about the aid they got. That was all done out of self-interest. Believe me. It wasn't some big humanitarian favor for the Ukrainians, the way that Trump wants to paint it. Bullshit. It was done to secure the international rules-based order, which is in our interest. JBN says, stop waiting for Trump in America to change things back. It's not going to happen. I agree. Trump is a kleptocrat, hell-bent on turning America into the Russian system. He's going to take the greatest system for generating wealth, the greatest system for enhancing freedom, individual freedom in the world. And he's going to turn it into the Russian police state. It's unbelievable. It's inconceivable to me that my fellow Americans could be this credulous, this naive, this hate-filled, racist, misogynistic, self-deluded. Exactly. I don't know why we're letting it happen. I don't know why. This is the most dangerous time right now. If Trump and Putin win, we're looking at 1,000 years of darkness. If Trump and Putin are defeated, we're looking at a whole brand new world. For his part, nobody has acquitted themselves more than Volodymyr Zelensky in this thing. From the day he said, "I am here, I need bullets, not a ride," until the day he walked out of the White House, having held his head high during that disgusting childhood schoolyard ambush by a bunch of bullies. No one has acquitted themselves as Volodymyr Zelensky has. And he does not stop. Even now, he is working on bending over backwards to give Trump a ceasefire agreement he can live with. But as the West demands all of these demands from the victim of this illegal, immoral war, the Russians are laughing at us. And they're setting terms and conditions that will never be met, saying we will not negotiate. We will not have a ceasefire with any conditions that include NATO peacekeepers or EU troops in Ukraine. It will not happen. They are saying they will not negotiate. They will not sit down to a ceasefire until Ukraine cedes all territories they have claimed, including those territories that they have never set foot in or have been ejected from. So they want all of Zaporizhia, even though they don't control it. They want all of Kherson, even though they don't control it. All of Donetsk, even though they don't control it. All of Luhansk, even though they don't control it. They want the Ukrainians to surrender completely. Putin doesn't have something on Trump. Stop thinking like a child. Putin owns Trump. Clearly, he owns him, body and soul. Stop pretending like we're living in a normal world. There is nothing normal about any of this. And you cannot work with Donald Trump. No one can work with Donald Trump. He will throw you under the bus. America hasn't fallen, but Olympus has fallen. Olympus has fallen. There's no two ways about that. The U.S. federal system of government has been subverted by the Kremlin, and Americans have to wake up to that. Yes, Nan, absolutely we must. It's outrageous. Yes, Beantown, they have. So we learned today that North Korea has sent another 5,000 soldiers to Russia. 3,500 of them are in the Far East, currently training. Another 1,500 have arrived in Kursk. We believe, this is according to South Korean intelligence, citing Ukrainian intelligence officials. We believe that the 1,500 that have arrived in Kursk are the gunnery experts, the gunnery men, the rocket specialists. There was nothing easy about the fall of the United States, Bobby. This is a 40-year plan. It took a long time, billions of dollars. Israel does not control the White House. I will not have anti-Semitic bullshit in here. You are done. So another 1,500 have arrived in Kursk. Another 3,500 are on their way. So another 5,000 North Koreans to replace the 4,000 that were lost already. Okay. I hope so, the kid. The news about the rare earth deal is that now that Trump thinks he has Zelensky on the ropes, he wants to renegotiate the framework to make it even better for the U.S., to rape Ukraine of its resources and line his pockets. The subject here is Ukraine, not Israel. I got Zelle, PayPal, Venmo. Yeah, I have all of the above. Cash App. How can Trump get a Nobel for peace? Dear God, I hope he can't. I mean, I certainly hope he cannot. All right, guys, that's it for me. That's the headline news, right? And you can hear my voice is not in good shape today. I don't know where this frog in my throat came from, but I didn't even record any videos today because I saved my voice up for this rant, this 30-minute rant. Was it 30 minutes? Let me see. 36 minutes. So let's just do some Q&A. And then we'll see. I'm not leaving this country until the Russians are gone. So when I will be back in the United States is anybody's guess. Why do we look at the U.S. for protection and stand up to it without... Yeah, Anthony. Tina says, leave the country now. You're talking about Ukraine? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not leaving this country anytime soon. I am absolutely of the opinion that Donald Trump does not deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. That's for sure. He deserves a Nobel Extortion Prize, maybe. The Blackmailer Award. Oh, look at the China propaganda coming in here. I think Europe will come together against Russia, and U.S., they might align with China. This is the kind of bullshit that the Chinese bots are spewing into the ether. America's done. It's time to align with China. So China is trying to take advantage of the situation and get their brand of authoritarian nightmare society into the pockets and wallets of the Europeans. Everybody should tell them to fuck right off. I have not heard anything about China talking about troops to the front line. Nothing. Well, Michael, we don't know if that's true or not. So the Trump administration is denying it. So it almost certainly is true. That's why I haven't talked about it. We don't yet know what's happening. But there are rumors that the Trump administration is going to revoke the visas for Ukrainian refugees. I mean, talk about evil. China trades a hell of a lot with everybody. America is back to the Middle Ages. Dawn, I don't believe that the U.S. Army in its current state will follow an illegal order from Trump. That's my fondest hope. I am live every day, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Which brings up a good point, guys. The U.S. sets the clocks ahead this Saturday. Ukraine does not set the clocks ahead until March 30th. So for the next 3 weeks, for Europeans, my live will be at 11 p.m. Eastern European time, 9 p.m. London time, 5 p.m. America, Eastern time. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. My voice is really gone. It's just shot. I don't know what this is. This is a new thing. So, you know what? I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to save my voice so that maybe I can do a live tomorrow. And thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. Hey, Betty Thompson. How you feeling, dear? Cheers, cheers, cheers. Night, Bertie. Night, Nicola. Thank you, Lithuania. As a per capita donor to Ukraine, you're right at the top 3, baby. Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day.